I have forever been a supporter of Planned Parenthood. I've supported the organization with my time, I volunteered there, I worked there, and I continue to give them my money. But I also always just believed in the fundamental concept. Parenthood is a big deal. It requires planning, like vacations, home purchases, or careers, you know. So when we decided to have a family, we planned. And people, I'm a planner. I organize my pregnancies around the election cycle because it's no fun to door knock while pregnant. And I refused to even conceive of conceiving until we got the notice that our first son got a spot in the free pre-K program because, hello, 1 day care payment at a time. But of course, the words Planned Parenthood are designed to define their opposite. They point out mostly what you don't want. Planned Parenthood is a counter to Unplanned Parenthood. And Unplanned Parenthood is what I thought about the most as I sat for day 5 or 6 or 7 in the Children's Hospital cafeteria, looking out over the cemetery, and started to feel my face go numb because I had done my planning for this parenthood. My first birth had resulted in an emergency C-section with insufficient pain medication. No need to discuss that. And a determination that I would never, ever go through that particular emergency surgery again. So I'd arranged for myself a pain-free birth by scheduled C-section. And the delivery was indeed wonderful. My husband holding my hand, my body suddenly 10 pounds lighter and freer as I got to meet the next love of my life, all squalls and red-faced beauty. But several hours later, when my sister turned to me and calmly pointed out, "That baby is not the right color," it was as if I'd done no planning at all. Instead of trying to figure out how to nurse a newborn while eating a burrito without getting rice on his head, nurses were running into the room, taking that baby and plugging him into a machine to figure out why he would suddenly, regularly just stop breathing. Childbirth turned into a nightmare of wires and wheelchairs and electronic spikes on EKG machines, telling us that our baby suffered from unexplained and inexplicable neonatal seizures, which could be fine, should be fine, but often wasn't, and whose prognosis, while unknown, could include cerebral palsy, serious retardation, and an early death. And I went from entitled, petulant, pain-free mom into a fury. First, I demanded my child be moved to Children's Hospital, just a 5-minute walk from our home, arguing with the hospital staff over the breathing monitor machine and refusing to go back to my room until they gave in. Then, I demanded that I be released early, post-surgery, so I could follow him, wheeling myself out of one set of hospital double doors and through another, live C-section scar burning well beneath my skin. In the neonatal intensive care unit, I demanded a hospital-grade breast pump and spent 24 hours bringing my milk in mechanically to the mewling of my baby, the constant bleeps and high-pitched sirens of the EKG and oxygen monitoring machines, and the occasional code signaling the death of one of the preemies of the NICU. About the seizures that would stop my baby's breathing, I sent lots of upbeat, jokey emails, describing it as a response to the Republican wave election. For the record, I swear, it's because he heard us talk about keeping Pennsylvania blue and just has no head for symbolic thoughts. Those neonates, so literal. But in between these lighthearted messages to the world, outside the hospital, I spent my days Googling neonatal seizures, reading medical journals, and waiting. Waiting for attending physicians, interns, nurses, specialists, urgently, ferociously, waiting for my baby to wake up and be well. And then I couldn't feed myself soup without it falling out of one side of my mouth. I was diagnosed with shingles, told to leave the hospital, and that half of my face could be paralyzed for the rest of my life. Interestingly, that is when I totally lost it. Because I am a person of big gestures and smiles that show my back teeth. I am no ice maiden, international woman of mystery with a wry half grin and one delicately arched eyebrow. Having one side of my face paralyzed looked really, really dumb on me. So it was then, looking out over the cemetery, knowing something was terribly wrong, not just with my baby, but also with me, that I realized that family planning just doesn't make sense. With all due respect to the organization and brand, I realized that Planned Parenthood is not the opposite of Unplanned Parenthood at all. That's the opposite of planned unparenthood. In today's age of modern technology, it's actually quite possible to plan your non-parenthood very effectively. Millions of women and families do it every single year. But you can plan your family only in so much as you can plan and execute not having children. Having children is a complete other ballgame. You may not be able to become pregnant or carry a baby to term. Your baby may not survive birth or childhood or ever grow to be more than a child. The child you parent may be very different than the child you planned for. But most of all, quite frankly, you may not be the parent that you plan to be at all.